All right, what's going on, guys? I'm gonna be making a tier list for a tier list for season 1 of Marvel Rivals, and this is gonna be a console tier list, so might be a little different than other creators you've seen make tier lists on YouTube. I haven't seen any console centered tier lists. I think it'll probably be similar, but most of the tier lists that I've seen are really good, but they're also like from people who play on PC. So some of these characters might fall into different tiers. But just to get started here, it's obviously you can play whatever you want to play, right? I think everybody is playable, especially if you're just playing like quick match or whatever. But if you're trying to climb in rank and competitive, there's just some characters that they're just better, right? And some that need some more work with their kits. But let's just get started. I think with Adam Warlock, I think he's good. Not great. Honestly, I think I throw him into like a C tier. Maybe B. Yeah, we'll stick him in C for now. He's a hit scan character. He's one of the few support characters that don't have a defensive healing ultimate. His ultimate is a res, obviously. A lot of people don't know how it works. Obviously, if you want to, most people want to use his res to get like a full team resurrection, but it's not the best way to use him. And so a lot of people just don't understand that if you pop it, it stays on the battlefield for 10 seconds, and then if you move closer to your dead teammates, then they get respawned. So you can actually put the res field in a safe place and then move towards your dead teammates over the span of those 10 seconds and revive those teammates. So I think once people start to really get a grip on that, he is good for like if you have good aim to focus out people who are flying around like a Storm or an Iron Man. And as you get more flying characters, I think those sorts of hit scan characters become stronger, but without having a defense ult, and if you don't manage his cooldowns correctly, then you're not able to heal at all. He's got really good burst healing, but I think in C, just because I don't see a lot of people playing him to what I think is the best of his kit's ability to be played at. Black Panther on console. It's probably B. There's some really cracked Black Panther players, especially as you get into the higher, like Grandmaster, Diamond, competitive ranks. But most people, I just don't ever feel threatened by Black Panther. You feel more annoyed. He can be really scary, like I said, but people call him the tickle monster for a reason because he's not doing crazy amounts of damage. He's just doing moderate damage quickly, right? If done right. Black Widow, I think you're throwing, honestly, picking her. I think she's gotten more use recently. I've been seeing more people play Black Widow, and I've seen some people do pretty well with her. But especially on console, I just think she's too hard to use for most people. And if you want to use a poke character, you're better off using almost anyone else. Yeah, I think she's definitely a throwing kind of pick. I don't ever get excited when I see a Black Widow on my team. Hulk, I think he's an A. Obviously, his team up is fantastic with Iron Man and Strange. He's really good at just diving your supports, obviously tanking a bunch of damage. I see some people misuse his ultimate, where they either just stand back and clap constantly and don't get enough damage out. instead of going in for like what people are calling the juggle, where you go in, you hit, then you jump, hit, clap. Like you can really combo him. And then a lot of people also use that animation attack that he has inside the ultimate. And that's just a big waste for the most part, unless you're doing it at the very end, which is hard to time. But he's really good. He gets banned a lot. Cap. Cap can be annoying. I might put Adam there and put Cap here. Just because he can be really annoying and just survives, and if people use his abilities right, that's when he's most annoying, but he doesn't ever feel like a threat. Yeah, just he's actually a lot of fun to play. My win rate on him is pretty good, actually. I don't have a lot of playtime on him. I'm gonna look at it right now. So I got 5 hours. Actually, I could probably show you guys. Let me just transition over. So this is my rate as Cap. 37 games played, 29 wins. Yeah, he's fun, but you just kind of feel like you're not doing much. And I think if you pair his ultimate with someone else who's diving with you, like a magic or something, then his ultimate can be pretty good. But by himself, which most Caps just kind of pop it by themselves to get extra health, yeah, he's not that good. Okay, that's obvious, right? Cloak and Dagger, one of the most OP healers. I mean, OP, whatever. Most of the healers are really strong. She's incredibly easy to use with a tiny skill gap from just like learning when to do some of those tech kind of moves, right? Like reload canceling by swapping between Cloak and Dagger, or if you're trying to dodge a Magneto ult when you're doing your ultimate and kind of using Cloak's ability to escape, fly high, do stuff like that. The timing of doing the Cloak escape ability to like protect your team or yourself from ultimates with when you don't have her ultimate. Yeah, she's just so strong. She gets her ultimate probably faster than anyone else in the game if you're using her healing aura right. Crazy sustain, crazy survivability. One of the strongest ultimates in the game when it comes to how much healing it outputs. I do see some people not using her that well, but once you get, out of platinum and above, that's something you don't see. And honestly, pick ban every single game if I can. If I have someone who's like I'm playing with who I know is a Cloak legend, I'm almost still trying to ban her just because of how annoying it is to play against a Cloak and have 2 Cloaks in the same game. It's us against the world over and over and over. Yeah, absolutely a pick or ban character. Strange, he's A, right? It's not even close. I think he's probably the best tank in the game still. Just so much versatility. His ultimate is easy to use. The only time you have a hard time using it is when there's another Strange and he can block it. So strong. Great consistent damage output. His AoE got nerfed a little bit, but it is still really potent. And if you charge up that Maelstrom of Madness AoE attack to like 80, 90, even max it out right before you use your ultimate, you can get crazy kills by doing that. And he's really strong. He's really good to combo his ult with as well. Groot, I think he's also A tier. His walls, just so much crowd control with the walls, just blocking off choke points. They put out crazy damage. You can get really creative with him. I think there is a high skill ceiling with Groot. I've seen some that are just useless. Obviously, if you're playing him into a Wolverine, it's like impossible. But his ult combo with a with a Moon Knight and Namor, it's one of the strongest in the game. If you manage to get your your Groot ult off and grab the enemy's supports who are using their support ultimates, and you throw a Moon Knight ult on top of it, they're just all done. Really, really strong. If you really focus and learn how to place your walls right, he can take over the game. Hawkeye, I'd say he's a B tier. I'm probably underrating him. He's not that hard to use. He's really easy to kill if you dive on him. He really only has like his jump and his one pushback melee. So it's like two kind of escape abilities, but they don't seem hard it doesn't seem difficult to get back in his face and kill him if you're playing like a melee character or a dive character, even after he uses both of those. The whole thing with fighting Hawkeye is just trying to avoid getting one shot and closing the gap. Or obviously, if you're using someone who's poking, you just gotta outpoke him, which is the most dangerous way to kill him, I'd say. Still really strong. Still the only character that can one shot kill you with a basic attack. So I think you just don't see him as much right now. Ella, I'd say she's A tier. I think everyone's heard enough about her. She is crazy strong. She's harder to dive, even though she only has the one escape with her crow. It's not hard to kill people when they push you with her because she does so much damage. If you can get, honestly, actually, I don't ever see good Hellas in console. I've seen some. Yeah, see, this is what I'm probably gonna put her at the top of B. And it's not because she's potentially a pick ban character if you can go crazy with her. And so is probably Hawkeye, right? But I just think it's harder to control your aim with some of these hit scan characters for the majority of people playing on console. And for that reason, when you go against Hela, it's like they're either dominating you or it's like they're no threat. And for the most part, I feel like they're no threat, or you have to respect them a little bit, but not that much. Like, obviously, more specifically, if you're playing someone like a Storm or an Iron Man, you got to be more careful because they're probably going to be focusing you. But yeah, just a crazy good value. I just don't think on console enough people are cracked enough at their aim to really get the value that she outputs. I think her ultimate gets countered really easily, especially in the high ranks. If you have a strain, she's almost always waiting and watching for it to fly up in your face and block it. And if it's not that, most people literally just focus you down right away. I've seen a lot of people who are Ella pop their ult and they don't look where they are and they pretty much block themselves by map geometry and can't even utilize it. So, like I said, I'm going to put her in top B, but I mean, everyone who's watching this has watched other tier lists, I'm sure, and I'm putting her lower than what she's really capable of. She could be a pick ban. She definitely was. Her and Hawkeye both. Yeah, I'm putting Iron Fist in D. I think a lot of console players would say that I'm crazy. He's a pub stomper. You can go in quick match and just dominate. His ultimate's good if you're fighting a group of like 2 or 3. But if you try to fight like a group of people, you're just going to get lasered, and that's just how he is in general. As soon as you learn how to fight him in terms of just don't give him his health back, you can kill him really easily. He gets countered a lot. And I think he's a little harder to use than people say, because if you get someone who's really good at using him, he's just absolutely annoying for all the reasons that everyone said he was overpowered before, because he just moves so fast, he just homes in on you. But he really is just like a duelist, like a 1v1 duelist, and I think there's a lot of characters that could kill him easily, like, for instance, Cloak and Dagger as a support. Luna can CC you, Mantis can CC you, Namor will kill you. Like, unless you've literally only maining him and one tricking him, and even still, I just don't see that many good Iron Fists. Most of the time, people throw him on, and he just is not very effective at all. Iron Man, I'd say he's A tiered. Hard to use. Some people just float around and just get killed constantly. But if you have a good Iron Man who is constantly flanking, constantly closing the gap, and using his beam, especially if he's got the Hulk team up, he just melts. If you have a character who is properly using his ultimate, waiting it out to make sure he nukes your supports. Yeah, he's really strong. People were hating on him early on in season 0, and then obviously people were like, "Oh my god, Iron Man is cracked," and Bruce started getting banned all the time. I mean, Hulk just gets banned strictly for the Iron Man team up, almost like primarily for that team up because it's so good. It's so much damage. If you get good with him, he can be really annoying. Jeff, I think you're throwing. Honestly, his healing. Most good Jeffs are good because they are annoying. They are hard to kill because as soon as they get shot, they just go under. And then if you're really about to kill them, they just pop up and spit all their bubbles from their self. I feel like they're never actually healing their team. I've had a few good Jeffs as I got into the higher ranks, but honestly, once you get like out of plat, which is where I'd say the game starts to feel better, because you're actually playing with like competent people on both sides for the most part, like diamond and up. You don't really see Jeff a lot, and every time I do, I'm like, why Jeff? And it's because he's really just got single target healing, because most of the time they just use their bubbles from the self. His ult is gimmicky. It can turn a fight really quickly, but the more you play, and especially if you know there's a Jeff on the other team, most people are good at avoiding it or killing him before he can get to the edge of the map. Yeah, I think he needs some work, even with his buff. He can put out some good healing if he's just focusing your tank and get value that way, but his ultimate's not worth using him alone. And like I said, most Jeffs use their bubbles for themselves. So, Loki, honestly, IA. He is hard to use. High skill ceiling. I think a lot of people don't want to learn how to use him because of how complicated his kit looks, but it's not that bad. If you watch a few videos of like people who are one-tricking him or breaking him down, or you just mess with him in the practice range, his healing is really good. His damage is really good. He gets his ultimate crazy fast, especially if people are grouped up on a convoy, right? Where you're dealing damage and healing at the same time. The ability to have him save your front line and your back line, yourself, any of your teammates with an instant if you properly place a clone and then his healing totems at this right time, it's insane. And a lot of people still don't target like the trash objects in the game, like his clones, like his totems, like, Namor's turrets. And good Lokis just dominate the game because you'll have your supports who are, if they're competent, they are not stacking their ultimates, right? And even then, let's say you have 2 DPS, one's a Storm and one's a Psylock, and they're both one ults against you. So you pop a healing ult, counter it, and then the Psylock goes, you pop your other one. Okay. Most comps, people, sometimes you see 3 healers, not always. And if you do, it's normally a rocket, right? So you don't have another ultimate waiting in the wings. And then a Loki's going to go there and copy a Storm and wipe your whole team. And if not, if the tides are going the other way, he just copies another defense ult, being able to copy a Storm, a Psylocke, a Star-Lord, a Luna. Like, it's so strong. If you can just learn how to play his kit, he's really, really good. Luna is a pick ban every time. 12 seconds immortality. Everyone has talked about this. It's so strong. There are ways to kill her out of it. You know, if you got someone who's crazy good with magic and they go in there with Darkchild and they just combo it right out of the ult, one of the craziest things you'll experience. If you are the Luna, you're like, what just happened? Iron Man can kill you out of it. You know, a good Groot and Moon Knight combo, or a Moon Knight if she's just really not getting out of it in time. But I mean, dude, crazy healing numbers. Gets her ult pretty quick. Not as quick as Cloak or Loki, but so strong. So strong. Magic. Yeah, I think she's A tier. Actually, I'm going to put her high A because her kit looks more complicated than it is. And on console specifically, I didn't really mention this with Luna. Like, I feel like people have a hard time using Luna on console just because the way it's not so forgiving with the healing. But it's literally she's pick banned for her ultimate and her ultimate alone on console. I think other than that, people don't. There are some. She's hard to get a lot of value with her healing just because it's not as forgiving like someone like Cloak or Rocket, right? To pump out those healing numbers. So back to Magic. Her cleave attacks, constantly being able to give herself bonus health. Just her annoyance when she's constantly diving your backline and just killing you both at the same time. A really good Magic is probably the scariest DPS to play against, in my opinion, because she can combo you out of the air. She can combo you out of your Luna ult. She can combo you pretty much anyone besides a tank and just like almost what feels like one hit you. And then her ultimate is really scary if someone knows how to use her. Definitely a A tier. Magneto, I'm not gonna lie, I think he's a pick ban character. People might not agree, but he's so good. He's so good if you know how to use him. I always want a Magneto on my team, and if I don't have one, I want to ban him. Sadly, I never get to ban him because people always want to ban other characters, which I get, but more commonly than not, the tanks I have the hardest time with, and like Grandmaster, it's Magneto. He is, especially if you have him paired with someone like Magic or someone who's diving you, and he's just constantly bubbling them, bubbling himself. His ultimate, if you use it right, is gonna like one shot your Cloak and Dagger out of her ultimate, and one shot Luna out of her ultimate. Like, so strong. He's incredibly tanky, and if you don't respect him, he's just gonna take you out of the game. He's super lethal. So, been trying to get more of my teammates to, whenever the bans are looking really good in terms of what both people picked in the first round, I'm always like, yo, let's try to ban Magneto. I have a feeling that, especially if something like if Bruce and Strange get banned, dude, I'm like, yo, just ban Magneto, because these people will probably want to play Magneto Groot, right? Which is really annoying, because the walls just stop everything, and then his shield and his ult. Yeah. Mantis, I'd say she's probably the top of A. I don't think I'd put anyone above her in A. Maybe I will. I don't think so, though. Defense ult, it's not as scary as the other ones. Crazy damage output if you know what you're doing, constantly amping yourself. Good assist, team assist value in terms of boosting your teammates. You have a Mantis that knows when to push with her team and when to sit back and heal. I think it's hard to get good healing value out of her on console just because people are not hitting crits enough to refresh her leafs to be buffing you and healing your teammates. And I feel like in the right hands, though, she is an absolute weapon. Moon Knight, he's an A tier. I'll probably put him up here. His ult is so strong. On console, dude, honestly, he might be like up here. He's not as scary as a good magic to me. But the thing is, he's just so annoying because on console with, and I'm not saying this over and over to make it sound like people on console don't know how to aim, because there's plenty of really good people on console that know how to aim, and people that like really lock in and dial in their sensitivity settings, especially with each character. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about like the majority of people have a hard time with projectile characters and hit scan characters. When you have someone more like a melee character who's easy to use, even some projectile characters are easier than others, but Moon Knight is probably the easiest. He's not easy in the super 1v1 where you don't have an Ankh, but if you have someone who's playing him and really got his projectile patterns down, he can actually kill you pretty quickly in a 1v1. It's just his ult, man. His ult is so strong, and he gets it so fast, especially if your team playing against him is constantly grouped up. He's a really good counter for stuff like Loki clones, for Namor Monstro turrets. Yeah, you have someone who like is playing on Shin Shibuya, or actually Tokyo 99, where it's just like so many walls, it's a little cluttered. Those onks are just like never where you expect them to be. He's getting his ult all the time. Combo with Groot, your team's done, right? I would say Namor's a pick ban. Actually, probably higher on my list for a pick ban than Magneto. He's so good. Even if you don't have the Luna team up, he's still really good. He's the best anti-dive character, I think, in the game. Without question, I feel like most people would agree. His ultimate has such a quick activation time. And if you're good with him and you're placing your turrets like up out of the way, and they have so much range, you can really just throw your alternate attack at someone who's diving or someone in the backline like a healer, and it's like they just die so quick. And then obviously if you have the Luna team up, that's why I say he's pick banned. If these two characters are not banned, you should be playing them together. It's so strong. He's a lot of fun to play too. Penny I'd say is C tier. And there's a lot of Penny players on console. Even one of my good friends plays Penny every now and then, and he goes off, even up in like Diamond 2, Diamond 1 lobbies. But I think it's because a lot of people play melee. A lot of people play dive into her, and they don't swap. Like, that's her best scenario, is if you're on defense and you're playing against dive, Penny's good. She's definitely better than C in that scenario, but that's not the scenario most of the time. And as you get higher, people see, oh, she's playing Penny, so we focus the nest, or they switch off dive completely, right? Take out her nest and you're not playing dive, she's really just annoying. I think her best ability is her CC when she can web you up out of your ultimates and stuff like that. Other than that, she's just kind of annoying. They can take over a game if you're just like not focusing her nest and you're playing into her in such a where she has total control over the point and domination, or she's holding a corner really well and her team is supporting her. I think this tank needs a lot more help than someone like a Magneto or a Strange or a Hulk, where they can just kind of run around and do their thing. Penny needs a lot more help. Psylock. Dude, Psylock is so scary when it's a really good Psylock. I feel like I don't see a lot of them as much. I think I would put her. Yeah, that feels. They should probably like that. Yeah, she. I don't know. I might have to go back and like move some people around. Psylocke is really good. She's hit scan. She's more forgiving with her aim. She's really good at flanking, obviously. Her ultimate is really good. And I think the nerf that they did to it is good. I think people don't, in like plat below or even in Grandmaster, which is where I'm at right now, when she ults you and you're grouped together, that's your best case scenario to like not die by it. And people seem to split up and run every time, and then she starts to get picks, right? I think when people get that idea in their head, that ultimate will be less scary. But she can be really, really lethal. Punisher, honestly, you see so much Punisher. He's like in every game. Now, if you have him with a rocket, I think he's immediate A tier, but by himself, he's just kind of like if someone has cracked aim, you got to watch out. But other than that, people don't use his movement as much. Like, I don't ever hardly see smoke bombs. It's mostly people throwing a turret up in an annoying spot that you have to focus down. And other than that, he's just kind of like laying into your tanks all the time. His ultimate is scary, but it's not like you can kill him out of it pretty easily if he's not getting pocketed. Now, if you have a Magneto that bubbles him, okay, like you better just hide. But I'm not that scared of Punisher. I really, he has to be doing a lot in the game for me to be like, okay, I gotta really respect this Punisher. Other than that, yeah. Rocket. Um, okay, I'm gonna have to put Loki like much higher. Put Rocket at bottom of A. Yeah, man, Rocket gets a lot of hate. I've given Rocket a lot of hate myself, like a lot. Um, but his numbers are just so good. Um, his BRB is really good. Like being able to, if you're having a really close stalemate fight over the point, and one of your team gets picked and Rocket brings them back, and you're able to like come back from that one pick, like say I trade with somebody, and then I come back from a Rocket revive, odds are, if no one else dies in that time, we're gonna win that fight, right? So that's huge. And his healing, his like group sustain is so good. He's kind of just a heal bot, but then the people who are really cracked with Rocket are doing a lot of healing, and they're also killing dive players because he has a really lethal minigun that most people don't use. I mean, a lot of people have seen the one guy's account that's going around where he made it to GM without doing any damage, but which is funny, but he can do good damage, especially people like to dive on him. And if they don't respect that minigun, and he's just like alternating a healing orb to himself and just like dashing and then melting you with the minigun, like you almost always have to back up. And his ultimate is why I would say, dang, yeah, I might put him in B. His ultimate is good, but it's not like I don't ever feel scared when I see a rocket throw it out. I mean, 40% damage increase is really good, but I don't feel scared when an enemy rocket throws it out. I'm just like, okay, either I'm just going to focus it down if I can, or I'm just going to try to kill the healers as fast as possible, right? Um, but you do feel a little more confident when you throw it down. Like if you throw it down in the middle of like a good team fight, and it's like a really well timed and placed rocket ultimate, you can definitely feel the effects it has, but yeah, it just holds him back. If he had like a healing, imagine his ultimate was like soul bond, but like stronger. I feel like that would be crazy. Or if it did like 20%, like a 25% damage, and then like a healing, like cut the damage down and do like a healing damage split, to where it's not as strong as like you're invincible in the healing, but you're getting a bit of both. I think then immediately he's probably shoots all the way up to like an S tier character. Wanda, I think you're throwing, honestly. Yeah, you can get creative and use her ultimate. Honestly, the best I've seen her ultimate used is paired with Mag, which is obviously is their team up. But and it's because their team up is good for Mag. Mag's already so damn good, and then anytime she ults, if he uses her bubble on her, it can be so lethal. Um, but bro, she's just not that good. she's just annoying. She's so like telegraphed in everything that she does. Literally all of her attacks are so her evasive ability is so telegraphed. It's not like a Psylock or an invisible woman or someone that just like, disappears. She you still see where she's going. It's not hard to track her at all. She has very annoying damage. Most people try to use her to counter an Iron Man or a Storm or something, but whenever I'm playing those characters, I still just kill her constantly. There are a few Wanda mains that are able to hold their own and get good value, but oh my god, not compared to the amount of people you see play her, where it's so bad. Spider-Man, he's a lot of fun. He's so much fun to play. Just you've heard other people say it, I'm sure. He requires too much for you to do to get kills. Now, if you're playing him with a like full Venom Spidey dive comp, you get a lot more value out of that. But even then, you require you and Venom to coordinate to try and dive people together, which is not that hard, but it's rare that you get that going on in a game where a lot of people just solo queue. And just so much work for not enough return when it's just as easy to get more picks consistently with someone like a Squirrel Girl who sits in the back of the map and just lobs acorns and gets kills, right? Like the value's not enough for everything you have to do. You can hit a crazy web, swing in, dive, yank them, uppercut them, do all this and that, which requires a lot, and still not get a kill, as opposed to a lot of these other characters that just take way less for more value, which is sad because I really enjoy playing Spider-Man. Star-Lord is A tier. Really good Star-Lord is so scary. If you haven't paired up with a Atom, it's insane. An Atom, Mantis, Star-Lord comp is so good. Star-Lord's ultimate is so good. So hard to counter it unless you have, obviously, the healing ult set counter everything. You literally just have to focus him, and he's already locked in on you, and it's hard. It's like, it's a wrap. Really good maneuverability. Just really, really strong character. A lot of fun to play. I think Storm is... yeah, I'd say she played scarier than Namor in the right hands. It's pick band without a doubt. Storm is who I've played the most by far this season. Overall, Strange is who I've played the most. But if we look at... So I've played my win rate overall, 62 for 90 is good. I mean, 51 for 72 comp games. You have a game where I had 73 kills. I mean, that's on my channel right now. I had 54,000. I don't know, she just does so much damage. She's so strong. Her ultimate just destroys. I mean, she's so good. If you've gone against a Storm and just got absolutely worked, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Really scary to play against. Like, so you have to... If you're not having someone on your team who's playing her, you better ban her. Because if you don't, and then you end up playing against a Storm Loki, where he's either going to copy a defense ult or copy her, like, you're toast. Like, there's like almost nothing you can do about it. Her ultimate is so good. Thor. Yeah, Thor, I think, is a lot of fun to play. He's like, out of all the tanks, he feels like the biggest DPS tank. He's not that hard to use. He's a little intimidating, learning his kit. But once you realize it's not that much going on and how much damage you're able to output with him. Like I say, he feels like the tank that is closest to being a DPS character. And he's just really annoying. He moves around pretty well. Every time he dashes, he gets some bonus health. It feels like more than any other tank or almost any other character besides Venom, Thor feels like the guy who just barely gets away. Like, you just almost kill him every time, but you never do, right? That's what it feels like, at least. And that leads me to Venom, which I think is right behind Thor. Actually, I'm gonna put him in. I'm gonna go like this. Move this around a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Venom, you're playing into a good Venom. He's just so annoying. He's so annoying. He never dies. He's not super scary. He's just always there, and he never dies. Always drawing your attention. I feel like if Venom dives your backline and your healers just start, they either yell for help and no one's getting healed, so you all turn around to try and kill Venom, and he just gets away, and now they're taking the point, or one of you get picked because you turned around, or your healers don't say anything. One of them gets killed, or you die because they're fighting Venom. And he's probably the hardest one for your healers to deal with, unless you have a really good Luna or a Mantis who's like goated at CCing him right before he uses his bonus health ability. I mean, that is the best way to counter him, is to try and get him to like half or quarter and then immediately CC him and then melt him down. But I just don't see it enough. It just feels like he never dies. And if you have him and a good Spider-Man, just they can dominate your team, because they'll just always kill your healers and you can't do anything about it. Especially if Namor is banned. It's a nightmare. Bucky. Honestly. Yeah, Bucky's really good. Yeah, what do you have to... Everyone has probably heard, again, like, so many times. A really good Bucky's scary. If he's pulling your tanks out of the front line and killing them, he's probably I say one of the best at a 1v1 duelist versus duelist. He's really scary. Just hitting you, stunning you, knocking you out of the air if you're playing a Storm, or Iron Man, grabbing you. If you have a Rocket, that team up is so good. Yeah, annoying. He's kind of hard to play. I feel like people on console do. He's got a really high pick rate from the games I play. And sometimes he just takes over the lobby. I'm no good with him. I've tried him a couple times, but yeah, I'd say he's a solid pick for sure. Wolverine should just be like in a tier all by himself, honestly. He is so scary in the right hands. He can take over the game. If he's getting shielded by Magneto, you're done. If your healers are if he's able to get back and get healed and not use his passive and use that passive for when he uses his ult, he's just so good. And it's just funny, like, what a meme. Everyone hated on him. I hated on him. And now he's one of my favorite characters to play. Sadly, he gets banned. Like, these three characters are the ones I like to play the most. I think they're the most fun. Storm, Namor, and Wolverine, and they just get banned all the time. I've played so many games where all three of them are banned, and I'm like, okay, let me play Star-Lord or something, which is fine, but not what I want, right? Mr. Fantastic. I think he's a D. There's some games where he's so annoying. Like, he just really good sustain. I just am not scared of him. I'm not scared of his ult. His ult is laughable. Literally, I don't even think that he literally just laughs, but it's just like it feels like it does nothing. You can kill him out of it relatively easily. He's just annoying, kind of like annoying list right here. Invisible Woman, I think she's probably top of A for me. Yeah, she has such good utility. Really hard to dive against if people are using their abilities right. Whether it's the push or the orb or just jumping away, right? And disappearing. She doesn't have crazy heals, but pretty good. If she's just like staying mid range right behind her tank and constantly healing him and poking you through the tank, it's really frustrating. And then anytime you're about to try to back up, she pulls you in. There's a flying character like an Iron Man or a Storm. She throws her vortex up at them and they just fall out of the sky. They try to get away. She pulls you back into her orb, her ultimate. And, disappear, right? Really good. It's not as annoying to deal with as a Luna or a Cloak. I would say it's more annoying than Mantis. You can kill through it with a Namor or a Moon Knight, but you don't really know what you're going to get doing that, and it's not long enough to feel like you can't just wait it out or try to time it to where it's like right when it ends. She's so much fun to play, though. She's probably my favorite support to play. And honestly, if you can get a game where you get a ban on Cloak, Luna, and Sue, oh man, you can just roll teams because their only option for healing ults is for them to run a Mantis Loki, right? And just copy Mantis every time. It's probably the funnest the game is right now, is if you can ban more supports than not. That's what my goal is always in every banning phase for a game. But yeah, I mean, these characters just need work. I never am happy. I'm never happy. These characters, I'm like, okay, let me see what you do, right? Like, okay, you can get some value, but it's not easy. These are all characters that I feel like are good value, some better than others, like Squirrel Girl and Hawkeye. None of them are really hard to use at all, except for Panther. He's definitely the hardest to use. But I feel like all of them outside of Hawkeye having the one-shot kill don't have enough value for the people I play against that use them. They either take over the lobby like a Panther, a Winter Soldier, can take over the lobby. Hawkeye can take over the lobby. But the rest of these, nah, and it's just not that common. All of these I feel pretty good about. I don't know if these are ordered exact. If I did this again tomorrow, I'd probably have it a little different. I think the people would be in the same tiers. Thor might be down one. Probably like that. But yeah, no, this is it. This is my console tier list. I hope you guys didn't mind how long it is and my little tangents I did, but I played around, let's look. Played around 34 hours. 111 comp matches. And so this is just my take on it right now. And that's in this season. Played a bit more last season. I'm really, really enjoying the game. And like I said, this is just my opinion. You can really play whatever you want. Like I said, I've seen people go crazy with Scarlet Witch and get really good value. How they do it, they just have a really good team around them. And if you have a good team, then you can kind of play and flex any of these characters and get a good result. I just think some of these characters are easier to use and get more value. And some of them, their value is just so high, even though they're harder to use, like a Hela, that you can't deny how dangerous they are. And these characters, the only one of these I would maybe change would probably be like Mag, but I personally think he's worth a ban. But all right, yeah, thanks for checking it out. I'm actually just probably gonna transition and I'm gonna probably just restart my stream and play a couple games here. But thanks for stopping by.